we're going to start this week with this word as our sort of our theme for the week ahead, which is the word patience. It was interesting. My wife and I were talking about a sermon that she had heard, and it was one very famous line. Those that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength, and that idea of waiting and patience. And it's an interesting topic because I think we could look at it one of two ways, and let's look at it in the negative first. What happens when we're impatient? What are you like when you're impatient? How do you approach life? How do you approach problems? How do you approach challenges? And it's probably with an immediacy that's oftentimes fed by our ego, trying to get it like done right now. I remember as a little boy, I used to love making model airplanes, and it was always so hard because you had to paint the pieces and then you let the pieces set, and then the hardest part was waiting for them to dry, because I so much wanted to just get it all together. And I remember more than once going way too early and leaving a big old thumbprint on the side of a plane or something. Just silly stuff. But it was a good lesson of what happens when we're impatient. And the flip of it is, what happens when we're patient? What happens when we really are willing to wait and just take our time? I think a lot of it, friends, is that patience feeds humility. And patience simply says, I don't know. Patience very simply says, in God's time. And that kind of patience creates this beautiful sort of bedrock of humility. And a number of things about humility here. A passage that went around on the blog that had some Swedenborgian thoughts on it, went around as a quote. And the quote was, that the Lord really, really desires us to be humble. And that's very different from saying desires us to be humiliated. That's not what it is at all. And if you have a view of God where God's constantly trying to humiliate you, I'd urge you to change your view of God. But God really is a big proponent of humility, because humility creates this space. So our ego gets quiet. It goes down. Again, the simple prayer, less of me, God, more of you. It goes down. It creates a lot more space for God to be in. And when we're patient and we're waiting and we're humble, that's what happens, is that the sort of the water level of our whole life kind of like stills and gets quiet. And there's this huge space that's created, this beautiful space where God can come in. And it just allows us to, not just humility, but allows us the power of witness, like the power to really see what's going on. I mean, when you're impatient and you're rushing around, how good of a listener are you? How connected are you to other people? I know for me, I'm horrible at it. And it really takes a deliberate effort to wait and to just be calm. And again, those that wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. And that's what happens, that our strength gets renewed. We find a new form of power. We find a new way of courage. We find a new way to relate to other people. So friends, that's the power of patience. And just for today, just when you're waiting, don't be thinking like I'm late or I'm behind or anything like that. Just think, I'm waiting. Just that little mantra. I'm just waiting, and not waiting like, waiting but I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting, and we're going to see what shows up here. I'm going to work to be humble, and when we work to be humble, boy, the Lord can fill in with some amazing, amazing gifts, and we will find our strength renewed. So that, my friends, is the power of patience. I hope that makes a lot of sense and is a great way for you and me to start our week ahead. So with that, dear friends, what we're going to do now is we're going to shift gears. I'm going to offer a little prayer, a little blessing, and then we will do a little hello to folks, and we'll just do a little final like hello. But please note that today we're actually headed down to the shore for a day at the shore. So I will not be answering comments live, but I will be answering them later in the day. So with that, dear friends, let's get started with a little breath. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, dear friends, again, a final, cheery send-off, wishing you all the very best on the day ahead. May it be one filled with a lot of patience and a lot of grace. Take care. Bye-bye.
Like our content? It's funded by viewers like you. Please consider becoming a sustaining supporter of new